Hello friends, thank you so much for joining us as we journey through another informative weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host Adrian Atkinson. Today our Western Roundup segment returns with the CPFSA celebrating Child Month. Plus we'll find out how good hygiene and deworming promotes healthy growth and development in children. Also what you need to do if you are involved in a motor vehicle crash. Sit back and relax for these and more interesting features right after this important message.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60 and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with for the same benefit.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency CPFSA and its partner agencies of government are engaging children as the country continues to celebrate Child Month. Western Roundup witnesses one of those engagements, and you get to see it next.
The COVID-19 pandemic has altered many plans. However, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has pulled out all the stops to ensure that our children are still celebrated. Today on Western Roundup, we journey with the team from the CPFSA and other partnering agencies to the communities of Breadnut Hill, Colgate, and Golden Grove in St. Anne, where children and their parents were engaged as part of Child Month activities for 2021. Stick around. Representatives from the National Council on Drug Abuse, the Ministry of Justice, as well as the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF, among other agencies, have all partnered with the CPFSA to engage children and their parents in communities as part of Child's Month celebrations. The most recent activity taking place in St. Anne was a drive-through where residents were sensitized about child protection and the importance of reporting suspected cases of abuse.
The CPFSA is committed to do what we have to do. COVID has caused us to have to alter the way we operate a little bit. Usually we would have a walkthrough where we would be out and on the ground. Nonetheless, we still have to send the message. So we had to make an adjustment, and so we are doing this drive-through.
The team has been strategic, however, in ensuring that the message not only gets to parents and children in the urban areas, but also to those living in rural areas.
A lot of times we are minded to stay in the urban areas that are populated, but we say we have to go out to the rural areas. We have to come to the nook and crannies to tell the people what needs to happen. And like we said before, if this just causes one child to be rescued, then it would have been worth all the effort. So we encourage persons to remember to report to the National Children's Registry 1888 Protect. It's important to give the information.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force also joined in on the call to protect the nation's children while praising the initiative.
So we are here today to support the initiative put on by CPFSA, and I'm telling you it is a very timely one. It's things like these that our department, Community Safety and Security, is very interested in partnering with. You see, oftentimes we come and we are here by ourselves, but this time we have a full support. Several agencies are here today, and it is very good. And especially since it is Child Month, children want something that they can look up to and aspire to be. And when they see that there's so many persons behind them willing to assist them with getting all that they need, then it is a good look for our children. And I just want to encourage you parents to know where your children are at all times. It doesn't matter if you're going to leave them with a friend or anybody, just know where they are. Keep checking on them. Build a communication, break that gap. so that you're able to reach them whenever they are having a situation.
Parents participating in the day's activities also joined in on the call for individuals to protect their children.
I believe that children should be loved, they should be cared for, we should listen to them, and sometimes they too have problems, and we should help them in solving their problems.
There's so many things that are happening to the children these days, so all they have to do is just rethink and say, well then, what I wasn't doing before, I have to start doing it now by protecting them. If they are going out, ensure that they have someone to stay with them, or bring them with them, or know where to go.
Meanwhile, 8-year-old Camilla Plunkett also weighed in on how children should be protected.
To protect your children, you should care for them. You should know where they are, and you should walk with them. If they want to go on a walk, you take them on a walk, and you give them food. Like my mommy yesterday, she made me macaroni. Even when I was spoiled, she still made me macaroni.
Child Month is being celebrated under the theme I Soar. That is, I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. Among the activities planned by the agency for the month are child protection motorcades, road show and drive-thrus, which will see several officers of the CPFSA's regional teams engaging citizens to build awareness about child abuse and protection. That's all for the program today. As we continue to celebrate our children this month, we encourage you to play your part in protecting the nation's children. Thanks for joining us for Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send your feedback to jismobe@jis.gov.jm. Until next time, take care.
Ever heard the term deworming? Well, this is important as worms do affect the well-being, growth and development of children. In this next feature, learn the signs and symptoms to look for when a child may have worm and what you can do to promote better health.
Deworming is the process of giving worm medicine to an individual to get rid of parasites such as roundworm and tapeworm. While the focus is usually on children, adults should also be dewormed. Consultant pediatrician at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Sandrika Young-Peart, tells us why this process is important, signs to look for, and the impact of these worms to our health.
When we talk about worms, we're talking about multiple different types. We may talk about the roundworm, the pinworm, or we can talk about the whipworm. And these are just some of the few worms that exist. The worms can actually cause a disease burden on our society, and the complications of having worm infestations are numerous and problematic. It affects how our children may concentrate and may be able to learn. There are actually documented findings that it actually affects your cognitive and your physical development and your ability to concentrate in school. And so it's actually important that we actually rid our children of these parasites. According to the WHO, approximately 800 million children are actually affected by worms each year. So what are some of the signs that a person may have worms? Symptoms could be what we commonly think about, like grinding of the teeth. They may be itching their anus, right? They may actually have weight loss. They may feel very tired and fatigued. And these are just some of the symptoms that may give you an indication that your child may have worm. They may not have any signs at all. Or they can have other signs and symptoms such as vomiting, abdominal swelling or distension, diarrhea, or constipation. If the worms actually form balls, they can actually block the intestines, and that can either cause constipation and cause the child to vomit. They can also present with wheezing, and we may think they are actually asthmatics, but it's actually the worms that have migrated into the lungs to cause obstruction of the airway and cause the child to wheeze. So how do they get infected? They may get infected either by eating or drinking contaminated water or food. If there is inadequate or improper waste disposal, and if we don't wash our hands before we eat or drink food. And there's a particular worm that you can actually get if you actually walk barefooted. So that is also something to bear in mind. And so it's actually important that we actually give our children worm medicine so we can actually target getting rid of these worms and actually reducing the worm burden in our society. You can deworm your children twice per year. You should actually give them worm medicine, and all the persons who are in the household should also get the worm medicine at the same time. It is important that our adults also be treated or dewormed, because we can be asymptomatic, meaning that we don't have any symptoms at all, but we can still be carriers of worms. And when we excrete or pass our feces, especially sometimes when we do it inappropriately, we may pass out the eggs of these worms. Then our cows or poultry or pigs may actually ingest these when they feed. And then that's a vicious cycle. And should our children be playing in the areas where waste is inadequately disposed, then they too can actually pick up the eggs or the larvae on their fingers. And if they don't wash their hands before they eat, or while they're in the midst of playing, they may actually put their fingers in their mouth, then they too can actually ingest these worms. So how can you prevent your child from getting worms? It's difficult, but there are some basic tips that we can actually do to reduce the chance of our children getting these serious worm infections and having the complications. It's basic hand washing before eating our food, allowing our children not to walk barefooted, allowing our children not to play with the pets, especially if their pets are not treated quite frequently. And importantly, proper hygiene. Ensure that our waste is disposed properly. So it's pretty important that we all get on board as adults so we can actually reduce the worm burden and the impact on our society.
Is your facility approved for COVID-19 testing? The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, through the JANAC Accreditation or Pre-Accreditation Approval Program, validates labs and point-of-care testing facilities such as medical centers. Accreditation safeguards the quality of test results and consumer well-being. Use a JANAC-accredited or PAP-approved facility for your tests, and let's defeat COVID-19 together. Contact the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, confirming competence, providing confidence in the marketplace.
In light of May 15 being designated International Day of Families, we now turn the pages of the magazine to a story of a first-time mother and how her newborn provided the glue that holds her family together.
Shantae, mother of Liam Barrett. When I found out I was pregnant, I wasn't at all excited because I was in my final year at university. But I don't believe in abortion, and I decided that even though it's going to be a hard task, I had family and friends, and I had a wonderful support system behind me. So I decided that even though it wasn't my plan for me right now, I just had to do it. Preparation for Liam. I don't know nothing about having a child or raising a child, so not even nursery rhymes I didn't know. I had to do my research, learn nursery rhymes, and while he was in the tummy, when he was more active than he was supposed to be, I just sing those nursery rhymes to him and it would kind of soothe him down. And even now, when he's here, when he's sick or when he's uneasy, I can always sing back those nursery rhymes to him, and he's okay. While pregnant, I went to the beach, and it works now because he loves water and he loves going to the beach. So I did small things to kind of wean him into this life. The transition, it was rough because a lot of persons had high expectations for me. A lot of persons wanted me to finish college before I ventured into, motherhood. But in my opinion, God always knows what he's doing, in my opinion. And it was rough. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of persons who I thought were going to be behind me. Being a mother, it is a task. It is very stressful. Sometimes you honestly feel like you're going crazy, and other times you just want to hold your son and hug him up and tell him how much you love him. Right now, Liam can't talk. I wish I could understand baby language, that's all. Sometimes when he's hurting or when he's in pain, I can't really understand that, so I wish I could, understand baby language. Motherhood is basically giving up yourself for the sake of your son. Because you have to know, you have this whole new individual, you have to teach him how to be a man, you have to teach him right from wrong, you have to nurture him, care for him. Sometimes people say it takes a village to raise a child, but when the village is asleep, it's you as a mother, you're the only one that's there up with him in the night. Patience. One of the major lessons I've learned since being a mother is patience. It takes a lot of patience to raise a child, and some persons might think that once you become a mother you automatically know everything, but no, you have to understand that, or you have to be open to the fact that you're going to be a student and a teacher at the same time. He's going to learn from me and I'm going to learn from him, and that's how it goes. To be honest, motherhood changed me 100%, because in my opinion I was on a downward spiral. I was partying, I was drinking, I was doing everything that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And when I found out that I was pregnant, all of that changed, because now, as I said before, you have to be raising and nurturing somebody else. You have to be caring for somebody else. And I didn't want to put my son's life in jeopardy. What am I looking forward to the most as Liam grows older? I'm hoping he would be just like his father, or even my father. That's all I want out of him, because his father is an amazing person and I just want him to follow in that footsteps. I just wish Liam continued to be our saving grace. So I just wish he knows how much we love him and knows how much he means to us. And I wish he continued to grow into this amazing, amazing, amazing baby boy. Yeah. My advice for other expectant mothers is, do not think it is easy. Do not think motherhood is a walk in the park. It is not. You're going to need a lot of support. You're going to need friends, you're going to need your family behind you 100%, and you're going to need the stability of finances. So I just want to ensure that they have a foundation before they even consider getting pregnant, or even if it happens, to just ensure that you take it one step at a time, because it's not a walk in the park.
You've asked for it, and now it's here. The Jamaica Information Service has updated its mobile app. It's easier to navigate, loads even faster than before, talking about top speed, operate seamlessly across platforms, and we're a creative bunch, so it's much easier on the eyes. Now you have quick and easy access to news stories, television and radio features, and a variety of photos right at your fingertips. And you'll get push notifications when new content is uploaded. Download the app on your Apple and Android devices now and get news you can use. Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica on the go.
Motor vehicle crashes claim the lives of over 300 persons each year. With that alarming figure in mind, we encourage safe road use and urge you all to drive, walk and ride with care. But if you do get into a motor vehicle crash, here is what you will need to do.
You know how they say accidents do happen, unexpectedly and often unintentionally. Though road safety experts no longer define these unfortunate incidents involving motor vehicles as accidents, they're certainly never intended. Unfavorable weather conditions, objects on the road, your miscalculation while driving, or another driver can cause crashes, even for the best defensive drivers. That's exactly why it's important to know how to respond in these situations. So, what do you do at that exact moment? What should be your next steps? And when and how should you file a police report?
For the number of reports that come to this station, perhaps it's on a basis of about 10 to 15 per day. That's the number of accidents per day. So after a road traffic accident, person should first try to clear the roadway if they are obstructing the traffic for other motorists. Secondly, drivers are expected to exchange vehicle documents, and the document should include their registration certificate, certificate of fitness, insurance certificate, and your driver's license information. Those are the essential 4 pieces of information that should be provided to both parties after an accident. Contact information is optional, but you have cases where a person tries to settle outside insurance, and that's now a civil matter. It's an agreement between both parties, so if they want to exchange contact information, that's also optional, depending on the intention that they have in terms of fixing the vehicle outside insurance or what.
Your next step? Making a police report about the collision. This is always a good idea. That way you have proof of exactly what happened and the scope of any injuries.
In terms of our approach as police officers for a motor vehicle accident, first the critical thing is to check for injuries, make sure that persons are okay. If there's a need for persons to be assisted to the hospital for any sort of treatment, we should make sure we render assistance to persons in need of that care first. Secondly, we check for the damage for the vehicles, make sure there is no obstruction along the roadway, and then we can treat with the documents or the exchange of particulars between both parties. After making a report of a motor vehicle accident, the next step that persons are advised to do is to make a report to their insurance company, and that's for another motorist. As it relates to a pedestrian persons who are injured, they are also advised to get the assistance of an attorney to file a personal injury claim against the party that is liable in the accident. For follow-up visits, what we do, we have cases where persons are seriously injured, some of which are not able to make it to the station to give a report in the first instance. So what we try to do, whether the persons are hospitalized, we ensure that visits are made and that the person's conditions are updated as we go along. As we through the investigation, we ensure that the person's conditions are updated along the procedure.
But are you always required to report traffic collisions?
Not in all cases a report must be filed for accidents. We have situations where it could be a very minor mishap. For example, someone could be reversing from their garage, they could bump their gate. So in those cases, it's not necessary for them to make a report. But for other situations involving another motorist or a case where a pedestrian or a property is damaged, a report is expected to be made because persons at times are expected to make claims, whether from their insurance company or their attorneys, based on the damage received or the injuries they've sustained.
Reports from the Road Safety Unit shows that up to April 26, 139 lives have been cut short because of road crashes this year, with over 100 of those being males. And for the corresponding period last year, 136 lives were lost in road crashes. On a more global level, studies from the World Health Organization (WHO) show that approximately 1.35 million people die each year as a result of road traffic crashes, and 3% of most countries' gross domestic product is spent on road traffic crashes.
The most common cause of motor vehicle accidents, from my understanding, it's mostly impatience on the part of some of the drivers and lack of knowledge as to how the roadways should be used. And I also believe the implementation of traffic signs at various areas would also aid the process, because most drivers are not aware of what to do at various parts of the roadway.
In the face of such figures, even the most careful driver can suddenly encounter a bit of bad fortune on the road. You know that saying, decisions can be like car accidents, sudden and full of consequences. So how about making the right decision to be responsible road users today?
I really hope that those who are listening to my voice will take an introspection of themselves and check out how they have been operating the motorcycle. Are you operating with a helmet, an elbow pad, a knee pad, a jacket, a shoulder pad? Are you wearing shoes instead of slippers? Have you removed the mirrors from the motorcycles? Obedience better than sacrifice. Do the right thing. Are you going to ensure that you buckle up in the motor vehicle and the persons in the motor vehicle behind your back, your passengers, are they buckled up? Are you going to ensure that? Are you going to give yourself adequate time to reach your destination so that you don't have to be in any haste, so that you don't help to clog up the health sector? Nobody should be going to the hospitals because of traffic crashes. Nobody. They are preventable, they are avoidable. We can make better choice than that.
We've come to the end of another wonderful journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. We value your company, so be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging onto our website, gis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to follow the COVID-19 protocols and do stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.